A very good evening. Welcome to Lookupnews. I am Nelima, and the sign language interpreter for tonight is Felista Adundo. We've got so much lined up for you. The fertilizer making headlines throughout the day. We'll be giving you details of the same and so much more in this bulletin. But first, the highlights.
The news headlines in association with
inspiring possibility. The cost of urea, again, that was way beyond 7,000, will be 3,500. NPK, 3,275.
Tonight on Lookupnews, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua flags off consignment of the 3.55 billion subsidized fertilizer.
Government does not collect money, stores in one place, keeps for 1 month, and then distribute after 1 month or after 1 year. We raise revenue on daily basis, and we fund government on daily basis.
Treasury CS Ukur Yatani fires back at Ruto allies over the 93 million shillings treasury balance. DPP Nordin Haji now claims there is massive interference of witnesses in the 63 billion Aror and Kimwarer case. And different stakeholders come together to celebrate with the deaf as the world commemorates the International Week of the Deaf Community.
Yippee! Kamata plotting at 349k. Oh yes, for only 349,000 Kenyan shillings, you become a plot owner at the Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki. The Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki is located along the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, only 11 minutes from the City Mall and right opposite Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate. This is the best place to establish the getaway home that you have always dreamt about. For every 349,000 that you deposit or pay as installment towards any of Optiven's plot of land, you get 10k cash back instantly. Jaza basi twende Nanyuki. Bigger is indeed better.
Once more, welcome to the broadcast. The hashtag is Lookupnews. At Lookup TV on Twitter, Lookup TV on Facebook, and Lookup TV on official YouTube channel. Stay with me as I bring you up to speed with stories that are making headlines. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has vehemently refuted allegations that the national government coffers had only 93 million shillings when the Kenya Kwanza government took over power, as stated by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei. Ukur Yatani told the Senate that such allegations were misleading and had been made out of ignorance of how the national government works. And as our reporter Henry Tenden now expounds, the Treasury CS admits the government has had challenges in the disbursement of allocated revenues to the counties due to unmet targets and revenue collections.
There are resource requirements, which does not necessarily mean that they're going to get those amounts of money, but it's an indication of what.
For close to a week now, statement attributed to Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei that the Uhuru administration left behind a dismal 93 million in the national coffers has received unprecedented attention. The allegations, coupled with the statement by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua that they were inheriting a government with empty coffers, eliciting mixed reactions. But today, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has sought to put the record straight. Yatani has termed the statement by Nandi lawmaker untrue and insisted it is informed by lack of critical knowledge on how the national government works.
Sometimes, not of course, no senator, but in the public, we argue out of ignorance. Like now, immediately after election, some leaders were saying that, okay, they did not find the coffers were empty, the treasury did not have money, there was only 93 million shillings that was found there. And we find it very, really, I don't know whether sympathize with the situation, because there's a lot of ignorance about it.
I agree with the CS that we don't have 93 million shillings in the account, but I don't agree with him that the country is not broke. When you are borrowing or living beyond your means, in English language, it means you are insolvent.
On such allegations, Yatani argues the national government operates on projected revenue and as a result, allocates funding based on revenue collected on a daily basis.
Government does not collect money, stores in one place, keeps for 1 month, and then distributes after 1 month or after 1 year. We raise revenue on daily basis, and we fund government on daily basis. And there are also then there are competing needs. Salaries at this level, how much do we give to counties, how much do we give to the national, to parliament, how much goes to the judiciary, how much do we use to settle debt, a number of things, the competing needs.
The Treasury CS has nonetheless admitted the national government has suffered delayed disbursement of revenue to the devolved units due to unmet targets in revenue collections.
You make a projection to raise a certain amount of money this week, but you end up raising less. So how do you now determine what goes to the counties and what goes elsewhere? So the low performance of revenue raised nationally impacts on our disbursement, not only to the counties, but also to the rest of government.
In a bid to alleviate the effects of such delayed funding, Ukuru Yatani has urged the county governments to up their game in generating own revenue.
Sometimes county governments present huge budgets. This is the equitable share, this is the amount of money they are going to raise on their own. And yet they do not do it. If they do not do it, and they have such a big budget, you end up spending money that you do not have. And the process accumulates lots of pending bills, which now impacts on the general state of the economy at the county level.
And as he exits the stage, Yatani has implored senators to work religiously in their watchdog role to ensure proper utilization of county resources. This to guarantee continued service delivery. Henry Tende, Lookup TV.
And moving on, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Thursday flagged off a consignment of subsidized fertilizer to various parts of the country. Speaking at the Harambee House Annex, Gachagua said that the commissioning is in accordance with the directive given by President William Ruto that the government will create interventions meant to make fertilizers affordable to farmers and boost crop productivity.
My privilege and pleasure to officially unveil the fertilizer subsidy program.
Farmers across the country can now breathe a sigh of relief after the government, through the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, flagged off subsidized fertilizer. Gachagua announced that the government had released $3.55 billion for the fertilizer subsidy kitty, adding that they had availed 1.4 million bags of 50 kg fertilizer to farmers across the country.
We have identified fertilizer for immediate intervention due to its potential, immediate and profound impact on agricultural productivity in the medium term as well as in the long term. In this regard, that one of our first pronouncements was to lower fertilizer prices to set the pace for the implementation of this intervention, dubbed the Fertilizer Subsidy Program. The National Treasury has already availed $3.55 billion towards this intervention. Under this program, the government, through the National Cereals and Produce Board, will make available 1.4 million bags of 50 kg of fertilizer.
The DP appealed to farmers to avail themselves at the National Cereals and Produce Board (NCPB) depots and sub-depots to access the fertilizer.
I appeal to farmers in the regions that are receiving the short rains to reach out to local National Cereals and Produce depots and sub-depots to access the required fertilizer.
Gachagua further assured that the government is considering more interventions from stakeholders to ensure that fertilizer prices are affordable to farmers.
Finally, let me assure all farmers throughout the country that we are all private to all fertilizer requirements for the long rains season 2023. the government has commenced consultations with key actors and stakeholders to ensure quality, affordable, and accessible fertilizer that will be available to all farmers across our great nation.
Following the directive, the new fertilizer prices therefore stand at DAP at 3,500, CAN 2,875 Kenya shillings, urea at 3,500 Kenya shillings, NPK at 3,275 Kenya shillings, MOP at 1,775 Kenya shillings, and sulfate of ammonia, which goes at 2,220 Kenya shillings. The Deputy President added that the country's dependence on imports has worsened as a result of the ongoing drought in the arid and semi-arid lands. Gachagua noted that the government is concerned because the annual production of staple foods like maize, beans, wheat and rice has decreased, making the food situation in the country worse.
As a government, we are focused to increasing agricultural productivity that will lead to increased supply and eventually lower food prices due to the forces of supply and demand. This therefore necessitates the need to ensure that factors of production are affordable to farmers. It is against this background that as a government, we from the very onset spelled out the prioritization of improving agricultural production through an availing affordable and accessible input as an intervention.
The DP assured farmers that the Kenya Kwanza government would increase agricultural productivity by making sure that the costs of the production inputs are affordable. Brian Amuai, Lookup TV, Nairobi.
And after President William Ruto announced subsidies for fertilizer, farmers from different areas of the country have already started receiving the fertilizer from the National Cereals and Produce Board. The farmers have received the fertilizer with happiness, saying that it has removed the burden of buying expensive fertilizer. Eddie John Mokora with more.
It's a reprieve for many farmers in the country after receiving subsidized fertilizer after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua announced today. These are the scenes at the National Cereals and Produce Board NCPB, Bungoma, where we find farmers queuing to purchase the fertilizer. The farmers saying the government has relieved them a heavy burden because the fertilizer being sold in stores is expensive and they could not afford it.
Nimejivunia kwa sababu president wakati alisema kwamba mbolea inashuka. Nimechionea mbolea, nimekuja Bungoma Cereal Board, nimenunua mbolea kwa shilingi 3,500. Hapo ni pongezi kwake kwa president wetu aliyekuja Bwana Rais Ruto. Sasa tumefurahi kwa sababu tumeshushwa na mbolea chini, na hata sasa kilimo tutalima, mafundo tutafuna. Na TAP sasa nimechionea, nimenunua TAP, nimegochea CN naye kuje niendelee kuweka kwa shamba langu.
Nimefurahia jinsi serikali inatupatia mbolea kwa bei yake. Mara hii tulikuwa tunachukulia 28 DAP, 27 urea, but for now tulikuwa tunachukulia 3,500. Ni kama imepandisha tena. Sasa hapo sijafurahia sana.
Saa hii vile wanafika unapewa namba, wanakuandikisha, na mnapoenda kwa afisi, karibu na afisi wanachukua kuanzia 1 mpaka 10. Watu 10 wanaingia, wanakuwa soft, halafu wanaenda mahali pa kulipia pesa. Ukilipa pesa, wanakuambia enda kwa store. Ukifika kwa store, kazi ni rahisi tu, wewe kuchukua mzigo wako na kuhama kwenda nyumbani. Sasa nimeona mabadiliko ni mazuri.
Elsewhere, farmers from Olmoran area in Laikipia County are pleading with the government to help them with seeds and fertilizers due to the food shortage they are facing. The farmers saying their plants have been damaged by armyworms, drought, and being burnt by bandits. The farmers have also asked the government to aid them with food since the previous harvest dried up. On his part, President William Ruto, while addressing the United Nations in New York, has explained how the drought, the unrest in Russia and Ukraine, and the COVID-19 pandemic have contributed to food shortages in Kenya and Africa at large. Ruto has asked countries with financial muscle to help aid the situation.
In the Horn of Africa region, severe drought and disruption of supply chains due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the Russia-Ukraine conflict, have left us food insecure and consequently, we have been constrained to repurpose our strategies to prioritize drought and famine relief, insulating education and from disruption, and improving social protection and healthcare systems to secure the well-being of our people.
Edwin John Mokora, Look Up TV.
You are watching Look Up News. Nancy Nelima here and Felista Adundo. We do have to take a very short break. There's so much more on the other side, including life in slums.
Africa. Our economy has a bit. It never stops, always beating. Our business, the next global economic frontier. Let's talk African business.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Maru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly one-year installments plan.
Michezo na wachezaji, matukio na matokeo uwanjani. Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe, si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. ZFC! Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha, sisuisui na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 hadi 9:30 ndani ya runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookup TV.
And welcome back. As the world commemorates International Week of the Deaf, the government and the Ministry of Education join stakeholders in celebrating of Lugha Ishara Foundation's 5th anniversary. Sheila Luta, Directorate of Special Needs Education, discussed a recent directive by the ministry in ensuring that at least 200 teaching trainees receive sign language education. Stakeholders encourage parents to accept their impaired children and more so to ensure the children seek medical attention early enough.
The Ministry of Education joined stakeholders in celebrating Lugha Ishara Foundation's 5th anniversary in commemorating International Week of the Deaf Community.
It has come for us to embrace everyone, to embrace people with disability through, and I'm not talking about a hug, I am talking about the idea that they are part and parcel of building the nation, of creating success across any field.
The government under the Ministry of Education puts effort in easing learning for deaf school-going children. About 200 teaching trainees in each cohort receive sign language classes.
The government also sponsors about 300 practicing teachers who are employed to go to the Kenya Institute of Special Education for a 3-year diploma course. Every year we select a new cohort. And apart from that, the government also gives top-up. When a learner in a primary school receives 1,420 shillings, the Ministry of Education tops up with 2,300 per learner because of the disability.
Despite encouraging parents to accept their impaired children, the stakeholders are pleading with the government to be involved in the welfare of deaf kids, especially those in remote areas.
More probably is not educated, they don't know what to do or where to start. And mostly the parents who are not aware that their child is deaf, they come to know they are deaf while they are older. Yeah? As soon as a parent knows the child is deaf, they would go to a hospital and then they'll be given an advice. So if the government would come up with workshops, training, seminars, and going deep to the village, I think that would really help.
Parents discussed the challenges they face in raising their impaired children. They, however, praised the role technology has played in aiding interactions between them and their challenged children.
Nifunza hii unasaini hivi. Saa toka sikio ninajua. Pia vitu zingine tukishindwa inabidi sasa tunampea na Google. Sisi hatujui tutamwambiaje jawabu. So naenda namuonyesha, ukitaka Google hivi, angalia jibu hapa. Na hivyo anasoma.
Mudheu Ndalana, Lookup TV.
Thank you, Mudheu Ndalana. Remember, Lookup TV will continue bringing you stories as we celebrate the week and, of course, even the month of the deaf people. So do keep it here. And let's keep up with our Commander-in-Chief. President William Ruto has pleaded with the IMF, World Bank and other money lenders to extend debt relief to developing countries affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking during United Nations General Assembly, Ruto emphasized on the need for protecting the climate against deforestation. Shadrach Karina reports.
In his maiden speech and debut at the United Nations General Assembly, President William Ruto asked the IMF and other money lenders to extend debt relief to developing countries hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Back better from the bottom upwards is essentially about including the marginalized to working maturity in the economic mainstream. The bottom millions relentlessly wage their daily battle for survival in a crowded arena characterized by scarcity of opportunity. It is time to bolster the resilience of our nations, to mainstream these millions through deliberate strategies and efforts for economic inclusion by building back better from the bottom up.
The head of state asked the United Nations to encourage bottom-up economic model as a way of boosting the economy.
On behalf of Kenya, therefore, I join other leaders in calling upon the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and other multilateral lenders to extend pandemic-related debt relief to the worst-hit countries, especially those affected by the devastating combination of conflict, climate change, and COVID-19. Furthermore, I urge the G20 to extend and expand the scope of the common framework to suspend or reschedule debt repayments by middle-income countries during the pandemic recovery period.
Ruto emphasized on the need to conserving the environment as a measure of controlling the global warming.
It will be recalled that during the Stockholm Plans 15 meeting, which Kenya had the honor of co-hosting with Sweden, there was consensus from states on the need to act urgently in addressing environmental impacts.
Ruto either lamented about the exclusivity of African countries on the global matters, calling on the UN to involve African countries in all affairs. Shadrach Kareria, Lookup TV.
Now, a cat-and-mouse chase between the police and idlers suspected to be thieves has brought businesses to a standstill in Masingo area, Kakamega County. 2 people have been killed by the dreaded gangs who camouflage as street kids. There's and more in our local roundup.
Kakamega County Masingo area carried out a sting operation
to apprehend idlers believed to be terrorizing locals. According to the security personnel privy to the operation, the racket is believed to be rogue street kids and drug peddlers who cause disturbances among traders in the area. This comes after 2 people were killed in the hands of the gang who operate as business cartels and camouflage as street kids during the day.
Tufanye kazi mpaka hawa watu watoroke kwa sababu hata sasa chifu wa hapa na likuru wa hapa hawatusaidii.
In Murang'a County, Governor Irongo Kang'ata has initiated a process to scrutinize the pending bills owed to different suppliers and contractors by the outgoing government. Kang'ata has insisted that those owed by the government should produce the rightful papers as no payments will be done without documentation.
We know they expended their money, but unfortunately we are not so sure whether legally we can be able to pay without documentation.
Meanwhile, the Lokiriama Peace Accord held at Lokiriama in Loima sub-county has been celebrated by over 2,000 people from Ethiopia, Uganda, South Sudan, and Kenya. Members of pastoral communities from these countries celebrate the peace agreement that was signed between Turkana and Karamojong of Uganda in 1973.
Us, we are committed to the agenda of peace. For those who are willing, to the leadership that is willing to work with us for matters peace, we will work with them.
Grace Mureithi, Look Up TV.
Thank you, Grace Mureithi. Now, despite the efforts by the government to provide cheaper fertilizers for millions of Kenyans, many areas are facing drought and starvation across the country. On Your Opinion Matters today, Kenyans give their views on whether the government has done enough to eradicate drought.
On Your Opinion Matters, we sought to know if the government has done enough in eradicating drought, and this is what many Kenyans had to say.
Naweza ona kava isaidie hao watu wenye wanateseka huko Turkana, wako na njaa, wawapelekea hata chakula, maji, wawachimbia hata bohol ili wapande vyakula, miti, wawasaidie sana. Juu wako na shida sana kwa sababu tuliona wanateseka, hata madawa, vyakula, wawasambazie hata maji.
Sasa kiangazi serikali kwa sababu serikali iko na pesa mingi zaidi. Na serikali wakiamua kufanya mambo wanafanya. Unaona sasa? Kwa hivyo kwa sababu iko na pesa ile mto Tana na teremka mpaka Indian Ocean, hiyo maji yote naharibikia huko, waweke mifereji na nchi ipate nini? Maji ya kutosha kunyoshea masamba hivyo na ng'ombe pia zipate maji ya kunywa.
Sasa kuhusu gavana drought, kila pahali kumewaka jua. Na sasa hii gava vyenye tunategemea bado iko changa. Haijafika ile wakati wa kusema tunaweza kuwa tuna imani sana watakuwa wanafail wananchi. Sasa tunaomba tu tusubiri kidogo, tuwape muda at least tuone kama wata improve na kung'ang'ana na hii hali ya ile vyenye maisha iko.
Sasa hiyo maoni ya drought, gava hajafanya kazi yote. Sasa tunangojea hii kazi hii za president wetu Ruto. Tunakaa sasa hii atapigana na hiyo mambo.
With many Kenyans yet to be convinced on the government's measures to eradicate drought, the ball now rolls to President William Ruto's government to ensure they win the battle against drought. Ian Keitani, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Ian Keitani. And remember, you can continue giving us your opinion on different national issues at Look Up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook, and Look Up TV on our official YouTube channel. We do have to take another short break, but we'll be back with our weekly feature, Born a Man.
Yippee! Kamata floating at 349K. Oh yes, for only 349,000 Kenyan shillings, you become a plot owner at the Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki. The Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki is located along the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, only 11 minutes from the Cedar Mall and right opposite Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate. This is the best place to establish the getaway home that you have always dreamt about. For every 349,000 that you deposit or pay as installment towards any of Optiven's plot of land, you get 10K cash back instantly. Jaza basi twende na nyuki. Bigger is indeed better.
All right, Simba, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for that.
Thank you very much for choosing to keep it right here. This is Look Up TV, and of course,
You're still watching The Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles. Can I get online?
remember to use the hashtag The Morning Drift. Don't go too far away.
Once we come back here
We'll be right
on Look Up TV.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Look Up TV, and let's continue informing you. This week on Bonaman, Cecilia Lubanga brings us circumstances that have surrounded Hillary as a young man, dealing with the effects of a broken marriage and playing the role of a father in a single-parent home of just her mother. Take a look.
The reality of a man out to make a living. This is an ordinary day in Hillary's life.
Raised in a broken home as a firstborn son to falling victim of a failed marriage, and yet strives daily just to ensure he survives, since society provides no excuse for a man. This is the life of a man through Hillary's eyes.
Known by many for making tasty chapatis around Kawangware area in Nairobi. But there is more to Hillary's life that people hardly know or see.
We were not living together with Dad. Dad is an engineer working in Nzoya Sugar. My mom now works in Naivasha in a certain flour company. At around class 6, my mom stopped working. So she had to think of a way of how she's going to fend for us. We are 4 of us. Me, my brother, my sister, then my brother, the last born.
Raised in a single-parent home of 4 children as a firstborn son, circumstances pushed Hillary to partially play a father figure role in the absence of their father.
As the firstborn, for instance, I had to, when I started working, others were still in school. So you have to chip in. Mom, yes, she can, but you have to support in a way. You have to support this one who is in Form 4, the other one who is in Form 2, the two who are studying together, the last born and the one that the third born, they were studying the same class, like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. The second born, I had left him without around 4 classes. So you find that I have to chip in because where I was working, I was able to pay the school fees, amenities, just to help them go on. Then for them to be somewhere, as the firstborn, you have to also set a pace in which they should follow. I went into marriage, and in marriage, marriage comes with other responsibilities. Then you have to be there also for the other family. Because I was based in Kagio for work, I think I was there for around 2 to 3 months for some landscaping work. And then my family was now in Naivasha. So we planned very well the way we'll be moving from Naivasha to Kagio because the place was better in terms of business opportunities. So on coming back, it was too hard for me to find that she had gone. My family was gone with everything. The place I was living, like she went a month before I came. Yet we had talked like a day ago. felt like I'd lost everything. I felt like it was the end of everything to me. I even got admitted into hospital for those stress, depression thing. But I think my family, now my parents, back to my mom, like my friends, they were too close to me. I never lost hope. It was after that, and then it was also a time when COVID had just hit around March last year. So in 2020, that is. So that's when I thought of maybe if I get money, I can do something that I can be self-employed. After a while of those depression, stress, and all those things.
Oftentimes in society, men have been expected to be strong and hold their heads high, even during difficulties, since they are the pillars in most households. Given the prevailing tough economic times, financial constraints have elevated stress levels, especially for men who are breadwinners in most Kenyan households.
I think she told me that marriage to work. So I could come home, but if I come home, it could just be for maybe a day or two, then go for 2 months. But support, you support everything. Kids are in school. We didn't have kids, but she came with them, so I had to take them as my own. I was always away, my presence. And I think that was also a mistake on my side. She has gone and married someone else, so I couldn't go into the relationship again. Like, I couldn't really talk so much because this is someone who has moved on. It proved that she had moved on. She's married somewhere else. So I had to stand on my own. So I started working just to focus now on my own. Decided to do a company called Muya Landscaping and Designing Company, where I get people from different architectural sources. Like, someone is focused on masonry. If I have a contract in landscaping, so I bring this person in. At around 18th April, I was called by someone who represented himself to me as a husband to her. And the guy told me that she has died on 18th April. Since it's in the past, let me just let it go. It just went like that. And I thank God I didn't wish bad for her, but my prayer was to come out of the pain that was also following me. And I thank God I'm good, I'm better. I'm a better person as we speak. Sometimes stress comes. Mentally you are tortured, you are thinking about the past. It comes because being a human being, at times it just comes. You find yourself thinking. At times you're lonely. You are not used to being lonely. You are lonely. But all I thank, personally, I thank God because I think because of my love for music, it helps me shut down the stresses, all those things. So I get to sing, I get to do a hymn, and I'm good to go. This year has been, I can say it's been a better year. I've seen progress, especially being busy has helped me to shed out some of the problems that I had. It has helped me to grow, maybe from the smallest, or rather, let me say, kutoka chini, where I was maybe the other year to this time. I think I'm better, and the year is promising also to be better. Life is not a theory. This is the fact, and it takes someone who is strong enough to face it. So you just have to work. You just have to be tough. You have to do things, try to do things better. Like something that you're used to be doing, do it better.
For Hillary, the hustle continues as he keeps up with changes in times and dynamics in the economy so as to be able to live up to the role of a man.
Drugs, they won't help you. As a youth, as a young man, I can say it won't help. Just be focused, see your future, like think of you and your future, and focus towards doing good, especially for yourself, for the country, and you'll grow. Yeah.
I won't be wrong to conclude that this business provides peace and tranquility, something that has enabled Hillary to surround himself with clients and friends who have since become family.
Cecilia Lubanga, Look Up TV.
Flying through the streets of Central Park in New York.
Time now to get sporty. Africa 100-meter record holder Ferdinand Omanyala was today crowned as the SJA